Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Peace and blessings be upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Dear listeners, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today's show is all about fun in the modern family. And we have a very good topic today. There might be some fight here later on. We might not agree on a lot of things. But this is the whole point. We need to discuss things and then you can make your own mind. Today's show is about video games. Video games, I'm sure a lot of parents, they dread the day they bought a video game or a console for their teenager or child. But it's not all bad. They can learn a lot from it. Hatim,
yes.
Have you ever tried them?
I've tried a few.
Yes.
But not in depth. So I'm not really addicted, or I'm not really a big fan of video games.
Yeah. I remember the first video game I played was Atari. And we also had this Nintendo small ones, that the flip games, which you open.
Game Boy?
Yeah, no, before Game Boy.
Before Game Boy?
No. You had this Nintendo games. Single game. It was King Kong. One of the famous games was King Kong. It has evolved a lot, and I was addicted to video games. I used to have blisters on my thumb
for playing the video games.
Yes, I have wasted a lot of time playing those games. I really wish I could go back in time and just reverse some of that time.
But alhamdulillah, you turned out to be good.
I try to be good. I try to be good. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have an honorable guest. We have Azzan Al-Raisi. He is a financial auditor and a gaming expert.
Yeah, thank you. Two contradictions.
Azzan, Assalamu alaikum. How are you doing? Alhamdulillah. It's an honor to have you here today.
Thank you.
And first of all, we would like to learn and we would like to educate parents on video games. I don't believe parents know a lot, or the majority of parents do not really know a lot about video games. Some of them might really be scared of just the term video game, PlayStation, and they would never go anywhere near it or even buy it for their children, be it PlayStation or any other video game, Xbox, Wii, whatever is out there. And some of them would just buy it for their children, or at least give them the money, just go and buy whatever you like and come back. I don't even want to know. What do you say about all of that? Are these the correct ways to deal with video games and children, first of all?
Okay. Bismillah wa salatu ala Rasulullah. Okay, first, what we need to do is just define what video game is.
Yeah.
And the basic principle of video game is basically an interactive media. So basically what you're doing is you're interacting with the TV or monitor, or you're also interactive with the iPad. Basically you're interactive with the screen. Yeah. And what's happening right now is that the video game industry is becoming so huge that nobody can deprive it and nobody can stop it. But all you need to do is just control it. Mm-hmm. And the video game does not concern with the console, for example, the PlayStation, the Wii, the Xbox, but it also expand to PC, and also right now we have the smartphones.
Yeah.
You know, the iPad, like Angry Bird, or even the Facebook, what's called Farmville, I think so, I'm not sure.
You're the expert.
I don't play. I'm not even in Facebook. But basically, but actually it's expanding.
Is it because you don't have time? You'd rather spend it on a video game or auditing?
I spend most of the time working a lot.
Alhamdulillah, this is good.
Hope I get a promotion soon. So basically that's why. I mean, the video game industry is expanding. It's a billion dollar industry, and it's invading our homes. Yeah, the same principle as the internet, the same principle as Google, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram right now, WhatsApp. Yeah, it's a medium and it's there.
When you say invading our homes, it makes us feel helpless. Is it true that it is invading our homes, or do we invite it?
No, actually, it's invading right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
how is that?
Basically, I mean, with the technology that's coming, you either accept this technology or not. Basically, what's happening right now is that the technology is becoming part of our life. It's becoming part of our work. And if you don't follow the technology, then you're way back behind.
What you say is that if you try and deprive children from playing these games
Yes.
or having one of these games, they might go and play it somewhere else.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
So when you say it's invading a home, not necessarily having a video game at home, but probably having a child who is affected by it.
Yes, definitely.
They might hear about it in school,
they will.
with their friends.
With their friends. And
yeah.
I think that's the generation of video games. Actually, the people who were born in the late 70s and 80s were actually the video game nerds right now. Yeah, we're the video game generation. And it's expanding right now, and it's affecting, I mean, the whole generation.
Let us utilize the initial part of this show today to probably explain to the parents in a very simple way what are video games, what are the capabilities of video games, and what are the positives and negatives of video games.
Okay.
We need all of this, so we as parents, we need to make a conscious decision when we buy or decide not to buy, and when we buy, what to buy and what to leave out. Okay, so let's start with capabilities. We've talked slightly about video games, and I'm sure a lot of families know about the hardware or the machine themselves.
Yeah.
But what are the capabilities of these nowadays?
The machines itself?
The machines themselves.
Right
What
now,
can we do with them? Or what can they do to our children?
Well, it can do a lot to your children. Basically, it can get your children hook up basically to it, and it's right now it's becoming source of some sort of addiction. If you don't control it, if the parents don't control their kids, it will become an addiction definitely. Yeah, the same principle as the Pepsi, for example, or the soft drinks. Yeah, it's becoming part of, and if you don't control, like how many cans the kids drink, it becomes an addiction.
Or dependency, more or less.
Yes.
Dependency more than addiction.
Yeah.
But I think with the video games, it is addictive, extremely addictive.
Yes.
People could get very fidgety if they don't have.
From the point of view of a child, what attracts it to the video game? Is it the graphics? Is it the sounds? Is it the whole thing, the game itself? What attracts the child to the video game?
So basically, what's mainly attracts it is the colors.
The colors.
Yeah.
Okay.
The more colorful the game, the more attractive it become. Yeah, and the way that you play it, the way that you interact with it, and the way, especially if the game was very popular, then you can talk about it.
Yes.
So it's become a
social norm.
Yes, exactly. It's become the hip of the society. Yeah.
What it enables the player, whether it's an adult or a child, is to be in control.
Kind of. Yes.
And that is a brilliant feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
To be able to fly a fighting jet, to be able to drive supercars, to be able to do a lot of things and be in control of a whole world. It's a virtual world. So that is actually what is getting people addicted.
Yeah.
The feeling of being able to control.
Yes.
I think what Azan said was very, very important, is that it becomes part of your life. If you remember a few years back, maybe 2 or 3 years back, when the Angry Bird started, people had T-shirts with Angry Bird. They had school bags with Angry Bird pictures. It was all around. Even adults were carrying the images of Angry Bird.
Yeah, even published in the US, they claim that Angry Bird is the next Super Mario. Which is becoming very popular right now. Everybody plays Angry Bird, and you have tons of games of Angry Bird. Right now, I think they reached 5 games of Angry Birds, and they're expanding.
Yeah, so...
and if you see the idea of the Angry Bird, it's very simple.
Yeah.
You take a bird and catapult it and hit something.
Pigs.
Pigs.
Green pigs.
Hit green pigs. Wow, how educating. I mean, this is... we all played it. I must confess, I've tried it. Being someone who was raised and as a child I played it, I still can't resist the odd game from now and then. I don't play it as much. Now I think I realize the importance of time more than before. And believe me, it is very easy to install the first game on your phone and in the next week you would easily discover that you have 10 or 20 games.
And that's the main problem that parents are facing right now.
Yeah.
Is that their kids, they're just downloading the games on their iPhone or iPads.
Yeah.
And there's no control to it.
And it is very easy for a parent to buy an iPod
Yes.
or an iPad for a child to be able to use as a source of knowledge.
Yeah.
But you would see that it is absolutely full of games.
Yes.
Full of games. Parents might be deceived sometimes that these games could enhance the brain capabilities. But we'll talk about this later in the second half of the show, inshallah.
Yeah.
But if we talk about the capabilities of the machines, what else can these machines do other than just play games? Can you access the internet with them?
Yes, you
Okay.
can. Especially with the 7th generation, which is the PlayStation 3, the Xbox 360, and the Wii, you can access the internet. You can actually the machine itself it becomes a hub, a media hub. Basically, you can put video files, you can put audio files, you can put pictures.
So they have a large hard drive
Yes.
where you can store
Yes.
a lot of information and data and files,
Yes.
or you can attach an external drive.
Definitely.
So parents who might think that they are controlling the content of their children's browsing
Yeah.
or browsing behavior by
the-
controlling the PC and laptops,
Yes.
if they don't know about this capability in games, children could very easily go and access the internet via the
PS3.
video, the PS3 or Xbox, and view explicit material.
Yeah, you can do that. Especially with the PSP, the PS Vita, the Nintendo 3DS. I think you can access the internet and you can access an explicit websites.
Yeah, so it's become very easy. So
Yes.
it is very important for parents to know the capabilities of the machines they buy.
Yes.
Learn how to use it before your child does,
Yes.
or learn it together.
Yeah.
Sit with the children and talk about the capabilities.
If I may ask, Azam, how do they connect to the internet? Do you have to have a Wi-Fi at home, or do you have to have a fixed line, internet
You
line
can have
cable?
it-
Or if you don't have internet at all at home, do you still can connect?
Well, you can. I mean,
It depends how close your neighbor is.
That's important, because
Yeah.
if you don't have Wi-Fi at home, but maybe your neighbor has Wi-Fi, does it have the capability to connect to your neighbor's network?
So basically, the basic method is through the Ethernet, which is the wire. You plug the wire behind the console, and it will work.
Because it's very quick.
It's very quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course the Wi-Fi, and of course you also use the hotspots in your iPhone. You can actually once you generate the Wi-Fi capability, you can actually connect to the internet.
So you could buy a child a mobile phone.
Yeah.
He might subscribe for Hayyak or whatever, have an internet bundle. He can access the internet, use that to connect to the video game, and access the internet and use a 50-inch screen to view whatever they want.
Yes.
This is scary, man.
It is not scary. It's just this is the whole idea of the program, raising awareness to parents
Yeah.
of the capabilities of these. We must understand it very well.
That's why one of the controls that you can put regarding that is to put the console in the living room.
Okay.
And just forget about putting it in the bedroom or the kids, or for example, creating like a playground for the kids.
Yeah.
Just put everything in the living room.
So everybody can view
Yes.
what
Yeah.
they're doing.
And with that, the parents can view whatever the child is playing in front of them. Yeah. And if there's no any other screen, then the child will be forced to play in that screen.
You can also use parental control on the Wi-Fi router itself.
Yes, of course.
You can do that.
Yeah, you can.
Secondly, you can apply parental control on the phone that you have bought your child.
And you can do that in the console itself.
You can do that on the console. So you
Yes.
have parental control on the console.
Yes, you can.
So that is good.
Yes.
That is good.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Dr. Wael, most of the time parents don't know how to operate the console.
That's what we are saying. When
Kids are better in operating it more than the parents.
When you buy it, know how to operate it. Either you learn to operate it before giving it to the child, or learn how to use it together.
And you can you can learn it through YouTube. It's not an easy. You just search for it on YouTube and that's it.
There you go. So you just a very quick video will show you exactly how to operate it. So parents, you don't have any excuse to say, I don't know how to play Wii or how to play Xbox. You need to go there, teach yourself how to play it, learn what it can do,
Yes.
and then you will be able to control your children more.
Yes.
or discipline them more. Some parents might not like the word control, but I mean regulate it more.
But parents would want to know: is it essential for our children to have video games? We know it's invading our homes, it's there all around, but is it important or essential for the growth of our children, for their intellectuality? Does it add value to them?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't?
No.
It doesn't add any sort of value to your intellectual capabilities. More or less.
You're being very honest.
No, I'm seeing you shaking your head there, so you have something to say. Don't worry about it. Just say it. If you think that there is a skill that you can develop using video games, why not?
Well, there are some different skills that you can actually learn from video games, and basically it's we can summarize it in, like, for example, problem solving. You have a problem, and you push yourself, or the kid push himself to solve it. And of course, as we discussed before, the decision making thing. Well, it's all about split second decisions to make.
You have strategic games.
Yes.
Maybe we could touch on that later. But if just sorry to interrupt you there.
No problem.
But you said decision making.
Yeah.
Okay. What else? Hand-eye coordination.
Yeah,
maybe?
of course. Yeah. It does that, and that's very helpful when you're actually playing, for example, sports game like football, or driving games, or fighting games. That's perfect for it.
Okay. And so it's not necessarily a skill that you would need in a daily life.
No, not necessarily. Maybe when you grow older, maybe, but not as a kid. I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, and of course the imagination and creativity, and that's a big chunk you learn from video games, because
enhancing your creativity and imagination, which is inherent and built into children anyway. They already have a lot of imagination, and that sort of creating new worlds with new creatures in a video game.
Yes,
it just feeds their curiosity and imaginations.
Yeah,
but if we would like to talk about, you mentioned different games there. You have something to say.
Yeah. That's just the final point. Okay. It's video games for the adults, not for kids. Actually, sometimes help them through depression period, and especially with this, if the adult is facing like a cancer or a Parkinson disease, it actually sometimes pushes them, because it actually push your will to survive.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is very interesting. I just read it
through video games.
Through video games, yeah.
some video games. Okay.
Yeah.
We've talked about video games
yes.
and capabilities. Let's talk about generally what are the main categories of games available there.
Yeah. So basically, what you have fighting games like, for example, Street Fighter and Tekken.
Okay. We stop here. Is it? We need to go into a little bit of detail.
Yes.
Street Fighter or Tekken? What type of fighting is it? And what is the mode? Is it adventure? You need to do a lot of missions?
No, you just fight each other.
You just fight?
Yeah.
In the ring?
Punch and kick?
Yeah. Okay. It's like more of a competition and challenge thing. Yeah, when you want to challenge somebody, instead of hitting him physically, you can invite him for a game. Yeah, for a game of Street Fighter.
And it's never a win-win situation. It's always either me or you.
Yeah, it is like this. Or draw. Sometimes it's rarely. I mean, if the two players are really good,
they could draw.
Yeah.
Do children? Okay, go ahead.
Is it what type of fighting is it? Is it bloody fight? Is it very graphic?
It used to be like playing without any blood, but I mean with the fifth or sixth generation, I mean blood starting to come into video games.
So make it more real.
More real and more thrilling for a person when he sees the blood.
Okay.
Yeah, just charge your adrenaline in your body.
We won't comment as of yet. We'll comment later on. We'll come back to you. What we want to know is the type of game. Okay.
Yeah.
Second type.
Shooters. You have, for example, the Call of Duty series, the Medal of Honor, for example, Left 4 Dead, and all these first-person shooters. And of course, you have the third-person shooter, which is like Resident Evil, like Uncharted, and
okay, these names might mean a lot to you, but for parents, they're another shooting game. Now, shooting games, when you say shooting games, it's being part of an army,
Yes.
and you are a soldier,
Yeah.
equipped with full gear,
Yes.
grenades, rocket launchers, whatever, and you go out there in the mission and kill people. That's your main aim, is just go and
or
kill
should
as
we say,
much.
what do you shoot exactly?
You
Yeah.
should
Do you shoot people or do you shoot tanks? Or do you shoot
artificial,
what?
artificial intelligence. That's what you should.
Yeah, but you mentioned something before the program, how they started these shooting games.
Yeah, it's basically what they how you talk about the World War, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
they actually started with the shooting genre with the Call of Duty and Medal of Honor, where you're actually part of the World War, the First World War and the Second World War.
Mhm.
But basically, what you're doing is you're shooting Nazis.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're just in a mission to just assassinate or kill Nazis.
So basically, whoever is playing there is playing an enemy of the Nazis.
Yeah, the Allies.
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
the enemy of whoever
Yes.
the developers want you to be the enemy of.
Exactly.
So it's not only a game now.
Yeah.
It's actually embedding an ideology.
Yeah, of course.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is dangerous, because I believe there are games now that it has turned from the Nazis being the enemies to Muslims.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah.
So you have, and rather they say Muslims or terrorists.
Yeah.
And I'm aware of a game that it's a shooting game as well, which is a war game where an American soldier is fighting terrorists or Muslims. And the end of the game, he blows up the Kaaba. He goes into Mecca, he goes into the Masjid al-Haram and blows off the Kaaba. At the end of the game, there is a picture of this heroic soldier, and beneath his feet are the Quran. So it's not only about playing and shooting, but it's actually embedding a lot of ideologies into the players without even knowing. And because it's repetitive, and you mentioned it's addictive, how many hours would you say that an average gamer would play a day?
As a kid or as an adult?
Both.
Okay, as a kid, you actually can reach 7 hours.
A day.
Easily.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Straight.
Okay.
Yeah,
Straight.
Yeah, and sometimes you can reach actually 12.
Mashallah.
Wow.
Yeah. And we're
Let's
talking
say
about
that-
from the age of 12
Let's
to
say
17.
that is extreme.
Yes.
We'll take average, we'll take half of that. It's 5 to 6 hours.
Yeah.
Still a lot of time.
Yeah.
What about adults?
3 hours.
Weekends?
The whole weekend.
Okay. To me, that is long enough.
Yeah.
Okay. For any human being, no matter how intelligent you are, to have a message embedded into you.
Yeah.
It is repetitive. It takes a long time, and at the end of the day, you build some sort of immunity towards that thing, and you think, okay, it's normal.
Well, actually, the trend that's happening with the shooting game right now, especially the one that came from, we talk about 2007, which is the Call of Duty, which is the one that you're actually fighting in Iraq and the Middle East. What's the developers' trend is that we make a very short story, which is it will take the player maybe 4 to 5 hours to complete, and then you hit it online. And once you get online, I don't think anybody can.
Yeah.
So
this is another capability
Yes, very addicting.
that you play with online players
Yes.
from all over the world.
Yes.
So you can create a team
Yep.
and just shoot
Shoot each other
yeah.
or
be together.
Yes.
See, and this is more addictive because now you are playing against each other and you can chat.
Yeah, of course.
You can chat by voice as well.
Yes.
There you go. It's even more attractive now. Hatem.
Oh my God, I'm just shocked.
Hatem is shocked.
Yeah,
Just
he's
shocked.
Yeah.
Okay, another shooting game.
Yes.
Another shooting game. Now we have this war games.
Yes.
Where you are a soldier fulfilling a duty, let's say.
Yes.
Which is somewhat noble, the developers might say. There is the other type of shooting games, which is crime games.
Yeah.
I'll name one: Grand Theft Auto.
Yes.
Grand Theft Auto. What is it all about?
It's about crime. It's about being a criminal and just
So the player
causing chaos.
So the player is a criminal.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The player, it's an open world, what they call it, a sandbox world. Yeah. Basically, you just there. You can either like start a story or continue a story, or basically you can do whatever you want. It's just an open city.
There's no laws. You
There's
just
no
do
law.
whatever you want.
So you can play a thug.
Yes.
You can go and stop cars, kill. You can drag people from their cars, kill them
Yes.
using a knife,
Yeah.
a gun,
Yes.
any type of weapon, anything.
Yes. sir.
Punch,
a
slap.
fist. You can go probably an old lady shopping.
Yeah.
You can just go and kill her.
Yeah. You can.
You can do that.
You can do that. Yes.
Okay, so I think it is very alarming that we have all of these games.
Yes.
What is the main purpose? I wonder.
Before that, Azan, is Grand Theft a popular game?
It is. Yeah. Actually, the 5th game is coming next month.
And I have seen
edition.
children.
Yeah. The 5th game.
5th game.
I've seen children as young as 7
Yes.
playing these games. Are there any ratings on games? We know that in movies
Yes.
you have ratings 18, 12,
15.
PG, universal games. Do we have ratings on games?
Of course you have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Basically, but it's not unified. It's all each territory they got their own rating, which is the North American they have their rating, the Europe they have their rating, Australia is different, Germany is different, and there is a rating. For example, the American one is based on letter. So basically, if the game is written T on it, that means teen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If it was M, that means mature, which is 17 plus. Which is if it was AO, that means adults only.
Okay.
And that's in the American games.
Okay.
Or in the market right now, we don't have a lot of Region 1 or American games. We have Europe or UK basically. There is like numbers on it.
Okay.
Yeah. So the basic number is like the 3 years, 7 years old, 12, 16, 18.
Can you censor? Can a government, for example, censor like the way they censor movies? Can they censor games?
Actually, the Australian did it.
They did. The Australian did
Yes,
it.
Yeah, they
Okay.
did. They don't. I mean, the Australian system is so compact and so complex that even the publisher they're very delicate when they create a game.
Okay.
Because Australia is a very large territory and it's very important territory. That's why the Australian government they force the publisher, they force the developers to tone down, for example, the violence. They tone down the sexual theme, the gore, the blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could buy the same version of the game somewhere outside Australia and you'd have more explicit materials.
Of course, yes.
So we've touched on violence, speed in cars.
Yes.
Probably we might speak more about these later on after the break.
Yeah, sure.
You've mentioned sexual materials
Yes.
in games.
Yeah.
Wow.
Before we go to that, Dr. Wael, I just wanted to ask you about the rating again.
Yes.
Now, these ratings, are they applicable to us? Because these ratings are from a different culture.
Yes.
And whatever is accepted by them, it might not be accepted by our culture and our religion.
Yeah.
So, can we still rely on these rating, or should we go and in depth and research more and play the games actually and see if they're suitable for our kids?
Well, Hatem, actually the ratings, it's not, or even when developers they develop or publish games, they don't put Middle East as part of their scope. Yeah, the most important scope is the North America, the Europe, and Japan. Yeah, these are where the money actually where the cash comes in. Yeah, so when it comes to Middle East, it's not. I mean, it's
Middle East, although they have money, they only download free file.
They download. Yeah, exactly. The pirate games. That's the problem that publishers are facing in the Middle East. Yeah, and that's the problem that we're facing right now. I mean, you can download whatever you want. There's no rating. You cannot know anything about the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I mentioned the 8-year-old children who had Grand Theft Auto, they actually downloaded it. It's a pirated.
Yeah.
And they got hold of it, and they went to the cousins who are 4-year-olds. Their cousins had flash memories, and they said, "Oh, I have a game. I'll give it to you." And they've given them Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
A 4-year-old child might just take that USB and plug it into their PC and just play a game where they're killing each other and exposed to sexual materials, nudity.
Yeah.
There is a lot of that. I wish we can go on without a break, but we have to.
Yeah.
So, dear listeners, we'll take a short break. We'll come back after the break, and you can call us on 24602058. That's 24602058. See you after the break.
The Modern Family.
The greatest reason for weakness of Iman is being detached from the Book of Allah and the sunnah of his Prophet ﷺ. This is number one. This will kill you every single time. If you are detached from the book of Allah, meaning you don't read it, you don't ponder upon its meanings, you don't memorize it, you don't try to implement it in your life, then you cannot be wondering why your iman is weak. Because you have no attachment to Allah. The Prophet ﷺ said, I leave behind me two things. If you hold to them, you will never go astray. The first of them is the book of Allah, which is like a rope. One end of it with Allah Azza wa Jal and the other end of it in your hands. If you let go of that rope, then you lose your connection with Allah Azza wa Jal. You have to continue to keep that connection with the book of Allah. The only way we know Allah is by that which He has revealed to us about Himself. And where else are you going to find that which Allah has revealed to us about Himself other than in His Word? Other than in His Word. This is the words of Allah Azza wa Jal. This is as close as you're going to get to being near to Allah in this life, is through your connection to Allah through His book. Because even in our salah, people say, yeah, our salah is our connection with Allah. Is there any salah that is valid without the book of Allah in it? Is there any salah that is valid without the book of Allah being in it? So you can't tell me that salah is the only connection you have with Allah, because if you don't have the book, then you don't have the salah. So the book of Allah Azza wa Jal is the most important thing. It is primary. It is primary. I can't stress the importance enough that if you don't pick up the Quran at least once a day, in the morning or in the evening or any time, and at least thumb through something and try to understand it, then you have lost a severe connection with Allah Azza wa Jal. You've lost it. And if you just read the Arabic, mashallah, may Allah reward you with the hasanat of every single letter you read. But if you don't understand it, what is it going to do for you? You don't know what Allah is even telling you. You are saying something that Allah is commanding you, and you don't even understand it. It's like you sitting here speaking. If I gave this language in a language that I made up, you wouldn't benefit from it, and I wouldn't know what I'm saying. So no one's going to get benefit from this. You get benefit from the book of Allah through its recitation and its understanding. You get hasanat through its recitation, and you get benefit through its understanding. Allah says in Surah Al-Furqan, glory be to Him who has revealed this book unto His slave. For what reason? لِلْعَالَمِينَ نَظِيرًا, so that it can become to mankind a warning. Not just so that it can become to mankind a kirat, a recitation. It is to be to mankind a warning. A warning. The first verse revealed to the Prophet ﷺ after اقرأ بِسْمِ رَبِّكَ الَّذِي خَلَقَ was what? Ya ayyuhal mudaththir, qum fa'anzir. Get up and go warn someone about me. The Quran is supposed to warn us. It's supposed to advise us. It's supposed to encourage us.
The Modern Family.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to The Modern Family. Today's topic is video games and video consoles, and with us here today is Azan Al-Raisi, who is a financial auditor and a gaming expert. Azan, we touched on several types of games.
Yep.
There are two categories that we would like to cover before we move into the next point. Nudity, please. Let's talk about nudity and sexual content in games, and then let's talk about racing games, car racings, and the effect of these two on the player.
Yeah, sure. Basically, right now, if we see who are the gamers? Yeah, just exclude the kids. We'll talk about the current generation. The gamers are basically they're from 20 until 30s. Yeah. So that's what they're. Basically, that's the people who actually play the games. These are the current gamers of this generation. Yeah, or who are playing the for example the PlayStation 3, the Xbox. For what's actually the developers and the publishers they're doing right now to for example expand or to make more profit is to include these kind of themes, which is more of an adult themes with the consumers, because at the end of the day the gamers are consumers. Yeah, and the developers and the publishers, the main focus is to make more money out of it. They're creating a product which they wanted to sell, and the nudity and the sexual themes, the violence, the gore is actually what's attracting people to buy these games.
Yeah,
and to talk about.
How bad is it?
No, it's pretty bad.
Nudity could come in several ways.
Yes.
It could be a reward in a racing game.
Yeah.
So if you are racing, if you win, then you are welcomed with a beautiful girl who wears absolutely nothing. So it also embeds this idea of that objectifies women. So they are just objects. They have no other meaning.
No value.
No value. And even if you try and protect your child from seeing these things, to protect his innocence, protect his
modesty,
to protect his shyness, to protect his faith, you are exposing them, or they are exposed to these games day in and day out, and it just ruins everything, and there is no way back very easily.
No.
Yeah, because all they see is this sexuality. And I've read a piece that there was a research done on children of two categories. They followed children from the age of 6 and hundreds of children, and they've realized that the children who were exposed to adult material in games or movies or any other type of media, they become more sexually active at a very early stage, as early as 8 years old. And other children who were not exposed as much, they became sexually active in a more normal age, which is mid-teens or after that. But having children you are just encouraging the production of hormones prematurely by exposing them to these. Some parents say, "Oh, they don't understand." Oh no, they do understand. It is instinct. It is part of our building. This is how we were built. So exposing them to these games is really, really dangerous.
Yes, it is.
What about racing games?
Well, racing games, it's like it's what you call it, like a racing simulators. So basically, what you're doing is you're driving very fast cars, and you're just speeding or racing other people, whether they're online or offline. So basically, or sometimes it can be fun, like the Mario games, where you actually race with characters, well-known characters like Super Mario or Luigi or even Sonic. So basically, what you're doing is just having fun, but it comes fun with speed.
Okay.
That becomes with focus. It becomes with it's more of a challenge actually. The racing games it's a very good challenge.
These are more like adventure games.
But
what about car racing games?
Give us some examples.
I've heard that they're very real. How do they actually make it, and how real are they? If I learn to drive in a PlayStation, let's say, will I be able to really drive?
Well,
please shed some light on this, please.
Well, actually, you will become more enhanced. I mean, you will learn the basics, through normal driving lessons. But when you actually drive, or when you used to drive in video games, you become more focused. Where actually your attention becomes where you think you can actually control the speed, or you can control the car. So that's why you speed, and you have the belief that you can actually control the car. That's why when you actually drive in a real vehicle, you still have a belief that you can actually speed.
Which is an illusion.
Illusion, exactly. You think you can reflect whatever it's happening in the video game in the reality. And that's very scary. That's very dangerous, actually.
I know the developers of these games have went to extreme. They have tried each car that has been put into that game. They have tried it on that particular track to simulate exactly the behavior of that car. To make it as real as possible. Even the sounds. That's why some say that if you are able to drive in a PS3 or in a video game, you acquire about 80% of the skills.
Definitely.
But as you said, it is not exactly what the real world is. And we see a lot of young people driving on our streets the way they drive in a PlayStation, which is full of adrenaline rush.
As Hatem said, it becomes an illusion, and becomes the belief that you can actually reflect whatever you're actually doing in a video game in reality, basically. So when you hit the road here, and for example the Sultan Qaboos road, you can speed. You believe that you can actually run a car the same way that you can.
Especially when you're driving a powerful car.
Exactly. Especially when you drive a powerful car. We talk about 8 cylinders and above.
So because see, youth are very used to be behind the wheel in a video game.
From an early age.
Yeah, from a very early age, in a video game, and all they do is just speed. So when they are behind a real wheel, inside a real car, the adrenaline rush kicks in immediately, and they are impatient on the streets, on the roads, and they just want to speed.
And the thing is, during the game, there is no following any rules.
No,
you
of
don't
course.
follow any traffic rules.
No.
In fact, you're encouraged
no red
to dodge
lights,
the
nothing,
police. You're encouraged to dodge the police and run away from them.
Well, actually, there are games where you need to dodge the police.
See?
Yeah, especially like Grand Theft Auto and...
Yeah. We have a caller. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, brother. How are you?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. It's just that the topic sounds very familiar to me, as I've been through the phase. So I just wanted to add, and I read a bit of history about this topic as well.
Okay, you have 30 seconds, brother, because we have a lot of calls and we would like to cover a lot.
Oh, okay. So I just wanted to say, this basic instinct of men to, drive cars fast, I think it's nothing related. It might be related to video games a lot, but I think it's also related a lot to our history. Like a couple of centuries back, replace the car with the horses. Whose horse is the fastest in the herd? So I think it's a lot to do with our, as being the male instincts.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if we can also address that issue rather than addressing the issues of the game. Yes, they do provide the fuel to the thought process.
Yeah.
But I think it's also a part of our basic instinct, like who has the fastest ride? Let it be the couple of centuries ago a horse or a V8 car right now.
Yeah. That's a very valid point. Thank you very much, brother. Right. Azan, we have very limited time and would like to cover quite a lot.
Yes.
We have spoken about the games and what they have in them. What is the right action? What advice would you give parents on a proper way to deal with this situation, video games and children? We'll take a call before that. We'll take a final call. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you, brother?
I would like to just make make one observation.
Could you lower the volume of the radio, please, so we could hear you more clearly?
See, there is a competition for the traffic safety competition.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Could you lower the volume of the radio, please? Listen to us via the phone, please, because it's just echoing.
Fine.
Okay.
So, I would like to know that perhaps we could get a hint that maybe the games which are meant for children should be toned down, and there should be some safeguards against the children. So they are simulating what they see on the video games, and then they drive the same way on the roads.
Yeah, we've touched on this slightly.
This
the
could
ratings.
Be a point to put it in the traffic safety competition.
Okay, sure.
The ROP can be made aware.
Inshallah, shukran. Assalamu alaikum. I don't think we'll be able to take any other calls today. There is a lot to cover, so apologies to our listeners, but would like to give the microphone here back to Azan.
Basically, you cannot deprive video games. You cannot stop video games. It's a wave that's coming, and it will hit us all. It will hit the society.
Okay.
Yeah. All you need to do is just control it.
Okay.
And to control it, you need to put certain boundaries and certain limitation.
Yeah.
And one of the boundaries is that you should actually hook the console into a living room.
Yeah.
And don't hook it in the bedroom.
So that is number one.
That's number one.
Number two?
Yeah. Number two, basically, okay. I don't know how to put it, but yeah. The kids need a fun zone. Any kids need a fun zone.
A playroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Now, the important thing is that the playroom should not be at home. Yeah, at home should be a place where the kid actually works, where the kids actually study, where he actually research, where he actually improve himself, where he develop himself. Outside the house, it can be the fun zone. For example, the kid actually need to study the whole week. Yeah, and during weekend he can actually go to the arcade or go outside or go to his grandparents, to his friend's house and play video games there. Yeah, instead of bringing the fun at home, instead of bringing the video games at home.
But the problem is that he is going to somebody else's home to play.
Yeah.
what about the other person? So what we are saying is not applicable to the parents of the neighbor, for example.
No, but it said to the arcade center.
Yes,
so
it used to be like an arcade center.
Yeah,
it used to be like
an arcade center is a good place,
yes.
But I'm not controlling them. I can't. It's costing a lot of money.
Yes.
Secondly, I can't really stand going there with my children. It's very loud. What about having a video game?
Yes.
At home?
Yeah.
Say, okay, from Sunday till Thursday, there is no video game.
Yeah.
Just study. During weekend, you can play.
Yes.
And even during weekend, you control the hours.
Yes.
With that, this is what I do with with my own children. During school days,
and
there is no video
that's
game.
what personally happened to me. I mean, actually, my parents actually deprived me from playing video games at home. Yeah, so during weeks, so basically I spend the whole 5 days studying, and then during the weekend I just pick up my console and go to my grandparents' house and play there for the whole it was used to be Thursday and Friday. I just kick the hell out of video games and then just come back and study the whole week.
That's good.
So basically I really feel fun playing it, and I really am looking forward to playing it. And also you can actually make the video game as a rewarding scheme for the kids. If he actually gets a good mark, you can actually buy him something, or you can buy him a game. And that's what actually my grandparents did to me. That okay, we're gonna give you, just get us certain marks, and we'll give you a video game, for example.
So when you buy a video game, do not make it like a primary thing in the life of the child.
Exactly. No.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, what's happened is that should be like a secondary, or not even secondary, a third things.
Tertiary.
Yes, it should be at the back of his head. Yeah, it should not be the main focus.
Yeah.
The main focus should be reading and writing, or drawing, or basically just
having fun, which can also enhance his skills, social skills, and cognitive skills as well.
Yes.
Yeah?
Before the show, Dr. Wael, you mentioned something very important, is that you play the games with your kids.
Yes.
You have the physical games that you don't need joysticks.
Yeah. If you could shed some light on the type of video games, because I have my own at home, which I also fell into this dilemma. My children would go to somebody else's home and they would play games. I didn't like the idea of having video games at home, because I said I wasted a lot of my own time when I was a child.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I don't want them to say, oh, my dad is not a good dad. And I ended up researching. So could you tell us of video games available which are much more enhanced?
Yeah, of course. Right now we have the motion movement games, which is basically the Wii and the Wii U, or the PlayStation Move, or the Xbox Kinect, where actually you can actually physically move your body. Yeah, or even just moving your hand. It's actually it's very tiring, but it's healthy.
That's a very good point.
Yes.
That when you play these games, there's a limitation that you get tired.
Of course.
So automatically the child will stop playing.
Yeah, like maximum of 3 hours.
Let me share my experience. I researched the market for a good game that I could buy for children.
Yes.
My children at the time, they were 5-year-old. The eldest was 5 years old. So I said, I don't want them to be couch potatoes. I don't want them to be used to holding joysticks. I went to Nintendo Wii. It didn't really click with me, because it still needed to buy a lot of joysticks. And then I've seen this Xbox 360. You are actually the controller. You don't need to hold anything. The majority of the games are active games. And you could buy 2 CDs, which are sports CDs. And this is what we have. I play with my children, and they're very active. We actually sweat when we play. You need to run, you need to jump. We play football together, we play volleyball together. You can do your exercises together. And even older generations also join in. And sometimes with these games, you don't even have to put any sort of controls in terms of time, because they get extremely tired and they leave it alone.
Yeah. Or it's one point actually. It's regarding the control. It's as an adult, one of the ways that you can actually control playing video games a lot is the chair. Yeah. As long as you're not comfortable in that chair, then you won't spend long hours playing video games. So maximum of maybe 2 hours or 3 hours. Even what developer right now, they're encouraging people is that they need to play only 45 minutes within an hour, and they need to take 15 minutes break. And they need to play in a very well lit room where there's a very good lighting, and they don't need to, I mean, maximum of 3 hours per day.
So put a wooden, three-legged wooden chair there.
And break their back. That's not a very good idea. It might be entertaining a little bit, but it's not fun. It's hazardous. So please don't do that. I have one more information to share with parents, which is when you buy video games for children, try and avoid games, even if they are rated for children. Try and avoid games which have violence or fast moving pictures, or even has any sort of competition or race in them, like speed racing. The reason is it does really damage the brain of whoever is playing, whether it be a child or an adult. I was listening to Dr. Mustafa Abu Saad. He's a psychologist and a specialist in children psychology, and he said that there are three main what do you call it?
Categories? Or?
No. There are three main
electrical currencies.
No, there are currents in our brains. This is how our brains work. Okay, you have different waves, and each wave it has a certain frequency. There are alpha, there are beta waves. And let's focus on beta. Beta waves is in the frequency between 12 to 28 hertz or cycles per second. And this is how our brain works. It's just by electrical current and by frequencies. The beta waves normally operate if you are concentrating on something or doing something active. When you are playing a video game, the frequency shoots up to the maximum of 28. It's like running a marathon at top speed for 40 kilometers. You are just ruining and breaking your body. And this is exactly what you are doing to your brain. If you do that to your brain, then you are losing three main skills. It doesn't actually enhance your intelligence. You are losing three skills. One is concentration. Secondly is memory. And the third is ability to just focus, concentration, and memory. So you see that people who are used to very high-speed games, they can't focus. If you speak to a child who is just playing 20 minutes or 20 to 30 minutes of competitive high-speed games, they become very fidgety.
Yeah.
If you speak to the child and somebody just scratches their head, they will look. If anything happens, any small sound happens, they will look. They can't focus. Their memory is very short. Their concentration capacity is very short. So this is actually damaging, and it's not only in children, it happens even in adults. So buy games very wisely. Do not depend on ratings.
Sadly enough, I mean, we do have regulations, but the regulations, they're not very strong regarding video games. So what parents need to do is they need to do their own research before buying the game, and they don't need to buy it straight away. Football games is fine. Driving games, we can say it's fine. But regarding for example, the fighting, the platform, the action games, parents need to check, for example, YouTube before buying the games. They need to know what kind of games. And they need to observe whenever the child is actually playing in the living room, what the child is actually playing, and that's the important thing. And then they need to judge. After they observe, then they need to judge whether it's suitable for their kids or not.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't think.
And allocate special time for that. Don't
exactly.
Don't leave
Yes.
it open.
Exactly.
Don't hand over the device to your child. And
make it as like a fun reward for the end of the week, just a relaxing thing.
Join them, play with them.
Exactly, and that's a very valid point. And most of parents, they don't do that. And when the kid actually starts, the problem with video games is that the more video games that you play alone, it's the more that you actually isolate yourself.
Yeah.
But when you play in a group, it's more fun. And it actually becomes addicting. Not addicting, but it's something very good to do.
Social activity.
Social activity. Playing with your parents, playing with your friends. Yeah, so actually...
And it's the good thing that if you buy them these games which are without the joysticks,
yes,
then they become more active.
Yes.
It helps them to be active. Yes, you are inside, because I wouldn't want my child to go outside and play at 12 noon during summer.
Of course.
Or even at 3 o'clock. It's very hot.
Yes.
At least there is this option now that we can play with them inside, yes, and still be very, very active. As I said, we were actually really sweating when we played volleyball.
And you had fun. And that's important.
Yes,
that's the important thing.
And they have more fun if adults join them.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
This is very important because we have not touched the point of obesity.
Yeah.
Which is the disease of century.
Yeah.
For children.
With
but with this game that you just mentioned, I think that is even better now. That you get moving.
One final thing that I would like personally to add before giving the mic to Azan one final time is we haven't talked about mobile games like Nintendo DS, the one that you can take everywhere with you.
Yeah,
I hate them. It just, if you want, listen, parents, if you want really to kill the future of your child, buy them one of these. If you really hate your child, buy them one of these. I mean, wherever they go, they don't interact with people. In the car, if they are going in a journey, 4-hour journey, they want the children to shut up, they give them these games. And they'll just focus on these games rather than looking outside. Be more interacting with nature and people around them. If you really want to ruin your child, buy them one of those. It's exactly like having mobile phones and then full of games. Please avoid them.
Azan, the floor is yours to conclude.
To conclude, basically, you cannot deprive it. You cannot deprive video games. All you need to do is just control it. Just make sure that you take care of your kids. I mean, the kids are really important. The kids are gift from God. Yeah, and they are precious. I mean, and they are the people who are going to build the future. Yeah, and you need to build them correctly. And video games, it's good for fun.
Yeah.
But actually, it's not a future.
Thank you, Azan. Thank you very much. I hope that we could cover the story more in another day. But with all our topics, they're very interesting, alhamdulillah, and the guests are very good. And at least we raise awareness. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us and listening and tuning in with us. We would like to thank Azan Al-Raisi, who is a financial auditor and an expert gamer. We leave you with the thought of the day with Hatim.
The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "Say each of your prayer as if it were your last prayer." Dear listeners, thank you very much for tuning in. I'm Hatim Al-Absalam.
And I'm Wa'il Al-Harasi.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
The Modern Family. Let us bridge the gap between generations. Let us shape up the modern family. The Modern Family. The Modern Family. Join the discussion and give us your feedback. Live with Hatim Al-Abdussalam and Dr. Wa'il Al-Harasi. The Modern Family.
God is pleased with us too.